Okay, hello everybody. Welcome back. I hope you're well. We're going to jump into Daily Race B this week, which is, I believe, 5 laps. Yep, top left, 5 laps around Road Atlanta in Group 4. Now, this is a combo that has yielded wins for me before, so I was quietly confident going into this one. And you can see here, starting from the back, didn't set a time, haven't played in a few weeks, so just wanted to get a feel for it again. And I thought the best way to do that was to try and start from the back and see how much progress we can make. It's interesting, last time this race was in the rotation, the WRX and the Nismo were dominant, but now it very much seems like it's the Silvia, the 458 and the F-Type. So, exit stage left there for the Spaniard, who decided he wanted no part in this race, and I don't blame him, based on what we see going forward. Absolutely overshoot the braking zone there. Embarrassing. First race back though, hadn't even qualied. So, going to cut here, making some progress. We're up to 13th, and this is going to be a nice double move up the inside. The Portuguese driver there brakes very early, and I do have to apologise to the Portuguese driver. I go wide here, I spin, and yeah, I shadow realm someone. So I do apologise to whoever that was. It wasn't intentional. But what goes around comes around, and as you see here, we take a little punt from behind. And as we go into here, I thought he was gonna knock me off. So I go wide, and then he turns into me, and we go spinning round. So we abandon that one, and we're going to try this different one here. As you can see, we qualified this time, and we're in P4. I'm actually going to go on board for this whole race because it's quite a good one, in my opinion. And yeah, P4. This quali lap was by no means my best. I probably only had 3 goes at it, so yeah, this is probably half a second off what I could do, I reckon. But P4, interestingly, had a GT road, not a GT road car, a GT by Citroen Group 4 car on pole, which I thought was very weird. But as you'll see here, as we get going, it's going to become apparent that he also wants no further part in this race. I'm not sure what it is with the Spaniards today, but as you can see, he just sort of brakes very early, and I don't know, maybe he's doing a video and wanted to go to the back of the grid and see how much progress he can make, I'm not sure. But yeah, so we're already up into P3, and already first and second fighting very hard, Silvia and the 458, probably the 2 cars I've seen the most in the B-rated lobbies this week. This section here, I find this corner really tricky here, just to get the braking point right, not to take too much exit and spin out or incur a penalty. But the rest of the lap after this I'm pretty confident with. As I say, this is a combination that I have won on before with the WRX quite a few times. The Oreo Mobile up front, Glenn, nice livery there. So that corner right there that we've just gone through is extremely important. It's been said loads of times before, but this straight is very long, and especially in Group 4 cars that don't have an amazing top end, the slipstream is so important. And so, yeah, it's super important corner, that one, to get right, because it sets you up for the whole straight. Tricky little chicane that I find sometimes. I go wide there quite often in the Silvia, but I do think the Silvia overall is probably the best car out of the ones I've tried. It seems the most stable, and just overall it's good on the straights and it's decent around the corners. You can already see 4 seconds to P4 now, so it is a 3-horse race already. There was a bit of squabbling behind me on lap 1, and it's allowed us to open up a gap here. So you're going to see here that we are much quicker through this section, I feel, and we close up to the back of this Silvia very quickly, having been dropped by about a second previously. But again, I was about to go wide. I had to get out of the throttle, so not really 100% with that corner, and you're going to see later on that that comes into fruition, although I do think part of it was not my fault either, but we'll go through that when we get to it. Again, corner very important. You can take a bit of curb there, it won't unsettle your car too much, But yeah, you have to stay on the power, because if you get out of the power before you come off that bend, then you're going to have pretty much no straight line speed all the way down this straight. So as you can see, pulling up to the back of Glenn here, 69.69, better than our last lap, which is, I think that's destiny, to be honest with you. Taking this one much better this time. That's the line you want. And I sort of have a little look here, but I thought you can't really go up the inside on that corner unless you want to shadow around yourself and the other driver. And I believe it is this lap coming up where we have a little bit of an incident. And I'd like to get your thoughts in the comments whether this is my fault or the other car's fault. But yeah, coming up through here again, I feel like I'm quicker through this first sector. I had a little look around the outside, but I just stepped out of it, didn't want to get on the grass and unsettle myself, because you need to be on a good line throughout this section here. But here we go. I think, personally, that he broke very early, and obviously I did shunt him and he went, but I also didn't get a penalty for it, so I don't know, I feel like he might have broke a little early there, and you know, potentially that's on me to sort of react when I'm following so closely behind. But I'd love to know your thoughts, because I think it's kind of 50-50, that one, for me anyway. But as you see here, we start dropping him pretty much instantly. I really did feel like I had more pace than him in general. And now it's time to set our sights on the lead, which is a 4.58, not as good in a straight line as the Sylvia. So we do reel him in on this straight. I find a good braking marker for that corner is the first, just before the first white board on the right, not the meter board, but the bigger white board. Just before that, I feel like is a good braking point. So, rounding here, gap under a second, and I do feel like we probably are the quickest car on the track on balance at the moment. As you'll see, we do start to just take little half tenths out here and there. Just get a little bit on the curb there and unsettle the car, but not too bad. This is a really important section, because as I said before, you really need to get the right line, or else you sort of get yourself out of sorts for 3 or 4 corners then, and it's difficult to line this one up, and it's very easy to get a penalty on the exit there. That's probably about as wide as you can go there. But 2 tenths up, going purple, so we have the pace, as I say, little half tenths, and it's now under 8 tenths is the gap. I probably could have taken a bit more speed through there. But again, this corner very key, a little bit of curb. I probably went a bit wide there actually on balance. But as you'll see here, as I mentioned before, the Sylvia does reel in the Italia quite significantly on this straight, and I just managed to get into slipstream range, and I start just chipping away. At that time you'll see in the top left it's starting to come down and down and down and down. Still purple there, so we do have the pace, and he actually, I think, bit of a weird breaking point for him there. It seemed like I closed up, but he also went a bit wide, so I'm not sure what happened there. He might have got himself out of sorts, but as you can see now, 2.5 tenths, extremely close, and we come around this corner, and it's a shame this braking zone isn't a hard one. We take the purple lap. If this was a harder braking zone, I probably would have had a look. He went defensive anyway, which was interesting. You don't usually have to, and I did here have a little look. I thought, okay, last lap, let's go for it, but you have to be really careful there. It's easy to take too much curb and unsettle yourself, knock someone off, get a penalty, so I just backed out. I thought it was for the best, because we know we have that straight as a last resort. But I needed to hook up this section here, taking that pretty well. Probably could have taken a tiny bit more speed and more curb, but not too bad. We want probably 4 or 5 tenths gap going onto the straight, and that allows us to not be too close, but to just get enough toe, be in a good position at the end of the straight, and we take the final corner well, but not the final corner, the corner before the straight well. And Melvin is very much in our sights, so let's see how this unfolds. Down the back straight, 3 tenths it was, and it's coming down and down and down. He goes defensive, which means I'm going to have to go to the outside, which means the inside for the penultimate corner. It's going to be last on the brakes, pretty much even, but just hanging it round the outside. Got the inside here, got a bit squirmy on the curb, and I couldn't take too much speed. And as you can see on the radar, he's very close, bit of contact going through that corner there, but we're going to round the final corner. to take the victory. I was really, really happy with that one, and that's the reason I wanted to show the whole race. He actually got a second penalty in the end, so it wouldn't have mattered, but to take it on the track is always nice, and I think you'll all agree that that was a pretty good victory. Let me know what you thought about that little shunt between myself and the gentleman who finished in third, and I'd be happy to hear your thoughts on that. But thank you very much for tuning in. Hope you enjoyed it, and I'll hopefully see you in the next one.